Hello everybody, Skin Deep Beauty Vlogger here. I hope you're all really well. As you can see by my appearance, apologies, today's video is going to be a slightly different one, and that's my first ever first impressions video. One of my friends was asking me what I thought of the new Lancome Teint Visionnaire foundation, and my friend's never watched my videos, so I thought rather than telling her, I'm going to do a video, and that way she has to watch. So this is going to be a first impressions video of the new Lancome Teint Visionnaire. I was sent this foundation for review purposes, but that won't influence my opinion at all. I was sent the shade number 2, so I'm really hoping, this is reflecting really badly, I'm really hoping that this is going to work for my skin. I'm wearing absolutely no makeup, as you can tell at the moment. I've just been for a run, so I've had my shower. My face is completely bare apart from I've put my usual moisturiser on, my La Roche-Posay Rosaliac, and a little bit of eye cream. I've also got a little bit of EOS lip balm on. Other than that, I've got absolutely nothing on my skin. I'm not going to use primer because, well, for a couple of reasons. One, I don't tend to use primer on a daily basis anyway. I certainly don't use it with my Holy Grail foundation. My Holy Grail, for those of you that don't know, is the Makeup Forever HD. I'm the shade 118 to 120, depending on the season. So this will be my benchmark that I'll be comparing the Lancome one to. So I wanted to review this foundation and its longevity without a primer, and also I don't tend to use primers on a daily basis anyway because my skin doesn't get on too well with very dimethicone heavy formulations that primers tend to have. So without further ado, I'm going to start applying this foundation. I'm going to open it up. I don't want to scare anybody with my appearance for too much longer. Okay, just get rid of the plastic. I've never actually tried a Lancome foundation before, so I'm really intrigued to try this. I have heard good things. Let's take a look at the ingredients. Doesn't seem too dimethicone. Oh, it has got dimethicone in, but it doesn't seem too high up on the ingredients list. It is SPF 20, so it may not be the best if you're being photographed. And that's because of flashback. Okay, this looks pretty dark actually. This could be interesting. I do really like the packaging. I think that it looks very sleek and luxurious, and I also think it's very innovative because in this lid section you have a concealer, which I think makes this pretty good value for money. It's around the £30 mark. I think it's just over £30, and there is a mirror in that lid with the concealer as well, so that's really good for on the go. However, it is really bulky. It is really quite bulky and heavy as well, so perhaps not the best for on the go. Certainly not if you travel a lot. I wouldn't really want to pack this in my hand luggage. It says that it's a skin perfecting makeup duo, helps with dark spots, pores and wrinkles. It's oil free. You have to shake well before use, so let's shake it up. I'm a bit worried about this colour. I think it might be too dark, but anyway, it'll be interesting. It's, you know, we're keeping it real. It's an on-the-go application. I'm going to apply it using my usual Sigma F82 brush. This is the round kabuki, and I'm just going to spritz this with a bit of water because that's how I tend to apply my Makeup Forever foundation. And I want it to be as comparable to that as possible. I've got my mirror over here, so excuse me for looking over there quite a bit. And so I'm just going to pull off the lid, and it's got a functional pump dispenser, which is good. I'm going to start off with, let's see how much comes out. Okay, I'm probably going to need maybe 1.5 pumps. There we go. It seems quite nice on first impressions. Doesn't have any no discernible scent. I feel really nervous about this video. So, I've got some hormonal breakouts around my chin. I rarely get spots, but when I do, this is where they tend to be. So I'm going to start, oh gosh, okay, I'm going to start with it there. This is not the right colour for me at all, but let's work with it. This is too dark for me. It seems quite pink toned. It's just clearly the wrong colour, but let's keep going. Maybe if I bring it down my neck. I don't know if I'm going to be able to bear with this colour for long enough to do a full first impressions, but I don't really have too much to do today. I've been for my run, and I have got some work to do at home, and I've got a barbecue later on, so this may be coming off before the barbecue, but we'll see. I'm really going to have to bring this down my neck because it's such a bad colour match for me. I quite like the finish, it's quite glowing. I'm going to need to put some more on. I mean, that 1.5 pumps done very little. So I certainly think that I would go through this more quickly than my Makeup Forever HD foundation because I'm needing to use a couple more pumps. They are the same size as well. Okay, I've just pulled my hair back a bit and I'm just going to keep working this into my skin. It's really quite sheer. I thought this was going to give a heavier coverage for some reason. I'm really having to cover like my ears, my neck and everything because I just don't think this is the right shade for me. I really do quite like the finish of this. It's a really nice dewy finish. You probably wouldn't like this if you had very oily skin. Actually, bringing it down my neck and really buffing it in, it's not too off. It's certainly not a perfect colour match, but it's not too horrific. I don't know if you guys can see. Okay, so despite my initial fears, I actually think that that's blended in quite nicely. It's not a perfect colour match, as I said, but I don't think it's too horrendous. What do you guys think? I'm not sure. I really like the finish. It's nice and glowy, but not sort of oily looking. I'm not going to set it with powder because I never do with my HD foundation. As I said, I really want this to sort of, that's my benchmark, and I really want my first impressions to, you know, be an honest review. And the way that I would sort of compare any foundation would be against my usual HD one. I'll be interested to see if this oxidizes on the skin. I'm impressed with the formulation. I do think that it's a lot more sheer than I thought it was going to be. Because I've had to build this up more than my HD one, I do think I would go through the bottle a lot more quickly. However, of course, you are getting the concealer in the lid, so I'm going to review that one now. I really do like this idea of having the concealer in the lid. The other thing that's impressed me with the foundation is that although it contains dimethicone, so hopefully it will be pretty long wearing, it's not too high up on the ingredients list, so I'm hoping it's not going to irritate my sensitive skin. And it also doesn't appear to have any discernible fragrance, so again, hopefully won't irritate my sensitive skin. I'm going to apply the concealer. I would normally apply concealer with my fingers, to be honest. Sometimes I use a brush, but because I use my Kat Von D as my Holy Grail concealer, it's in a squeezy tube and I just tend to use my finger to apply it. But because this is in a pot, I'm going to use a Sigma concealer brush, F70. Yes. It looks like this. So I'm actually going to start by concealing under my eyes because I do have a bit of a dark circle situation going on. It'll be interesting to see how this goes on under the eyes. I don't believe it has any sort of brightening claims or properties. My Holy Grail for under my eyes is the Rimmel London Wake Me Up concealer. I'm just putting my finger in there just because I want to get a feel for the texture. It's quite waxy actually. It's certainly a thicker formulation and more waxy than I'm accustomed to working with. I don't know how easy this would be to blend. Seems to be pretty good coverage actually. I quite like the concealer. I do feel that to blend it under my eyes, it's sort of, because it's so waxy, I'm dragging the skin if I use my finger to apply it. So that would be a bit of a negative. Okay, let's do some spot concealing now. This could take a while. Been quite run down lately as well, so I think the combination of it being the time that I would normally have a hormonal breakout together with being run down means that my skin's not as happy as usual. I have to say, on very first impressions, obviously this is a first impressions video, I'm not too sure about the foundation, and to be honest it is quite difficult to have a sort of really good think about a foundation when the colour isn't quite right, because that's the thing you're going to focus on. But I really do quite like this concealer. Despite the waxy formulation, I love the coverage of it. I wonder if it would clog my pores with it being a thicker formulation. Okay, so that is my foundation and concealer applied. I definitely prefer the concealer to the foundation. Unfortunately, I've tried twisting the lid to see if you could just carry the concealer in your handbag. Unfortunately, you can't, so a bit of a design flaw there. However, I really do like that you get the concealer with the foundation. I think it makes it much better value for money. The foundation is certainly not bad, and I'll be intrigued to see how it wears throughout the day. You know, it's certainly more sheer than I would like, but I think that together with the concealer it makes a very nice overall effect, but concealer's a really good coverage to the extent that I could be a little bit worried that it could look cakey, but actually I think it's just, you know, a really good full coverage concealer. Bit waxy, so I'll be interested to see how it wears under the eyes, but overall really like the concealer, and I think together with the foundation it could make for a very sort of natural flawless finish. I'm going to pop the rest of my makeup on now. The time is 11:35. This is my little cat screensaver because I like cats and I like beauty products. So I will pop back in a minute and see how I felt the rest of my makeup applied, and then I'll pop back at intervals throughout the day. I hope that I'm covering everything that you want to know because, as I said, this is my first ever first impressions video, so not coming as naturally to me as sort of the videos that I film regularly, such as my favourites. Okay, I've finished applying the rest of my makeup. I've also applied this lip colour, and there's going to be a first impressions video on this coming up, so do stay tuned for that. I have to say that despite my initial concerns, I actually really quite like this foundation and concealer. I'd be inclined, if I wasn't doing this as a sort of first impressions review, to put a little bit of powder on my chin. I do think that because of the waxy formulation it's looking a little bit shinier than I would like, despite liking a dewy finish. But overall, I really quite like this. I think I've managed to blend the colour alright. I think it's settling in quite nicely. I'm hoping it's not going to oxidise. The rest of my products applied sort of as usual, no particular problems. It definitely wouldn't be one that I would reach for every day because, well, I guess it was the first time I was trying it, but I definitely felt like I had to work a lot harder with this foundation to get the right coverage and then go in with my concealer. But I do think it's paid off quite nicely because I think the overall effect is very natural and glowing, and despite the more lightweight coverage than I'm accustomed to, it gives a very flawless finish, and I really do quite like it. I have noticed that the concealer is starting to settle in the lines under my eyes already. To be honest, I'm yet to find a concealer that doesn't do that really badly anyway. Some are better than others. I do think this one's probably not great for under the eyes, but given the full coverage, it's fantastic for spot concealing. Yeah, and to be honest, the concealer, just reading about the concealer now, it says that it targets imperfections to instantly reduce their appearance. So it's not actually claiming to be good for under the eyes anyway. It is a spot concealer. So I'm pretty impressed with that. The time now is 12:06. I will check back in a bit and let you know how I'm getting on. Hello everybody, it is 14:02, so I thought I would check back in and let you know how I feel that my foundation and concealer is going. Please excuse my lips. I'm doing another first impressions video at the same time as this. I'm having a bit of a makeup malfunction, to say the least, so we're just going to have to ignore that, and that will all be addressed in my other video that I'm filming. I've just thrown on a hoodie, I was getting a little bit cold. I'm working from home today. I'm writing an article about brows actually in my freelance capacity, so do let me know if you'd like any sort of videos around brows. I've had some lunch, I've had some drinks, but I haven't actually been out since I've put this on, so what do I think about how it's wearing so far? Lancome Teint Visionnaire. So far I'm really happy with this. I think that my skin looks pretty flawless. I love the finish. I think it's wearing pretty well. I haven't noticed any oxidization. Still looks glowy. The concealer in particular has impressed me. You know, I'm not noticing any transfer. Really like it so far. I like it more as the day goes on than I thought I was going to when I very first applied it. So far this could be a new favourite. I don't think it's quite going to be holy grail to the extent of my Makeup Forever HD foundation. Part of the reason being that it is harder work to get this sort of flawless finish because it's not quite so full coverage. It's light to medium, I'd say buildable. I really like the concealer. I feel that the concealer is wearing very well. I love the maximum coverage that it's offering. I think it's probably wearing a little bit better than my Holy Grail Kat Von D concealer, so that's very positive. It's definitely not as blendable, and that's due to the waxy formulation, but I think that that's really helping it to wear pretty well. It has settled into the fine lines around my eyes, so I wouldn't necessarily say that it's the best for under eye concealing, but it doesn't claim to be, so that's okay. I will keep checking back in and letting you know how I'm getting on, but so far, I'm really impressed. Hello everybody, it is 16:10, so I thought 16:11, so I thought I would provide a quick update. Still really liking this foundation. I really like how it's wearing. I don't feel that it's oxidizing. It feels very lightweight on the skin as well. I would say I'm noticing a little bit of wear around the spots on my chin that I had used the concealer on, but I'm still impressed with it compared to my usual concealer. And to be honest, I've got a really bad habit of resting like this on my chin when I'm working, which is horrible. You shouldn't touch your face, it spreads bacteria, but it's just a bad habit that I have. So I do tend to get quite bad wear around that area anyway. Considering that I haven't used a primer, I haven't used a makeup setting spray, very impressed with how this is wearing. I sent out a quick tweet. Incidentally, my Twitter name is down below, so do follow me on Twitter. And the response that I had was that one of the girls that tried it really liked it. Somebody said that the more they wear it, the more they like it. So I do think that this is a really nice foundation. Incidentally, it's available in 18 shades, so I think that that's pretty impressive. Quite a broad shade range, so I think that most people would be able to find a colour that matches them and get on well with it. Despite my initial fears over the colour, I'm pretty impressed with how this looks. I think I've managed to make it work, and yeah, I really like it. I'll check back in a couple of hours with my final thoughts. In the meantime, do let me know if you'd like to see more first impressions reviews, and if so, what sort of products you'd like to see. I did have a thought that I probably won't do mascaras, purely because my views on mascaras really can change. I think like the first time I use a mascara, I tend not to like it, and I definitely prefer drier formulas, which is why I prefer them as I use them more and more. And it usually takes me a while to get used to a mascara as well. Anyway, I'll be back in a bit. Hi everyone, I'm back. It is 18:13 or 6:15. I've been wearing the foundation and concealer for around 6.5 hours now, so I thought I would jump on. I've got to go to my barbecue in a minute. I wanted to give my final sort of first impressions of the day on how I feel that the concealer and foundation have both worn. I mentioned in the first video when I was applying the foundation and concealer that I really do like the packaging. Despite it being weighty, I do think it's innovative, and I like that you get the concealer in the lid along with the mirror. I've checked out the price, and this is £36, so it's pretty pricey, but given that you get the two products, I do think it's pretty good value. I was sent the shade number 2, and when I first applied it, I really was quite concerned about how good a colour match it was. This is available in 18 shades, so I think that there would be something for most people. Actually, as this is worn throughout the day, I think that it's a pretty good colour match, and you know, I've certainly managed to make it work. I don't feel overly oily, certainly no more than usual, and I'm actually very impressed with how the concealer has worn. It hasn't really worn very well under my eyes. There's certainly some settling into the fine lines, and that would make me wonder how well this would work on a more mature skin. But given that I've got sort of combination skin, so it's oily in areas but also quite dehydrated, I do think this is worn pretty well. In particular, I'm impressed with how well the concealer is worn around my spots. It's starting to look a little bit shiny in areas, but I'd never applied any powder, so I think that with a powder you certainly wouldn't have any problems. I was a little bit concerned at certain points that it was looking cakey, but again, I think you could maybe just apply a bit of a facial spritzer and that would really bring that down a bit. Overall, I'm really, really impressed with how this is worn. I think it looks beautiful on the skin, and I really like the finish. I like that it's quite dewy, and I also like that because the foundation is quite lightweight, I mean, I'd say it's buildable, light to medium. Initially that kind of put me off when I was first applying it. It was a lot more sheer than I'm accustomed to. But actually I think that the formulation of the foundation together with the maximum coverage concealer, I think that together that makes for a very nice, flawless, fresh-faced appearance, because you're only putting the full coverage where you really need it, and then the rest of your face looks very fresh and, you know, quite youthful. So I really, really do like this. I'm going to look on the Lancome website now and tell you what the company claims that this will do, versus whether I believe those claims are true or not. So it says that Teint Visionnaire offers 2 expert steps in one foundation to combine perfect coverage and a natural finish. I would agree with that. So high coverage concealer. It's enriched with vitamins C and G. Its creamy texture immediately reduces the appearance of dark spots, dark circles and imperfections. Now, I do think that it's a maximum coverage concealer. It's creamy, but I did find it quite waxy, and for that reason I found that it wasn't the easiest to blend, and it definitely settled into those fine lines, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend using it under the eyes to disguise those dark circles. The description of the foundation is: the perfecting foundation flawlessly evens out the complexion and visibly improves the appearance of pores and wrinkles every day. The foundation is enriched with LR2412, the active ingredient integrated in Visionnaire skincare. I've never tried Visionnaire skincare. I know a friend that has, and in fact the girl that asked me about the foundation, she didn't get on very well with it. Maybe she's too young to benefit from it. It's not something that I know very much about. And also, obviously this is the first impressions video, so I can't really comment on the skincare benefits of it. I wouldn't say that the foundation alone flawlessly evens out the appearance of the complexion. However, as you saw at the beginning of the video, I definitely do have an uneven skin tone, particularly sort of red areas around my nose. And I do think that from the initial application, the foundation helped to even out my skin tone, as most foundations would. You do need to use the 2 products together for that perfectly flawless look. It says, skin's appearance looks visibly improved, the texture looks refined, dark spots and imperfections appear reduced, and pores look minimised. Now, I don't really get too hung up on my pores, so I can't really comment on that. It's not something that I pay too much attention to. I really do like the finish when the 2 products are used together, and I also like that it feels very lightweight on the skin. I don't feel cakey and heavy and like I'm wearing a lot of makeup. Now that I'm reading the website, it actually does recommend that you apply the concealer with your fingertips. I didn't, because of it being a pot concealer. I didn't find it very hygienic to do that, but maybe that might help sort of warm it up and make it easier to blend, so maybe that would be something that I would try in future. I hope that you found this useful. As I said at the beginning, I was really quite nervous of doing this video, particularly being barefaced on camera is still quite new to me, so please don't be nasty, but I thought it was the best way to demonstrate the foundation, and you can see the difference from before and after. And do let me know your thoughts on this foundation, if you've tried it, what you think, or if you'd like to try it. As a MAC reference, incidentally, I'm an NC 15 to 20, so hopefully that will help as well if you're thinking of trying this out to pick out your shade. I will link all my usual information in the bar below, my blog, my Twitter, so do check those out. I would definitely recommend picking this up. Even though it's on the pricier side, I do think it offers good value for money, and I've been impressed with the results over today's wear. It's always difficult to see a first impression, I certainly can't comment on the skincare benefits or whether it breaks me out, but I feel fairly positive about it. I don't feel like it's going to break me out based on the ingredients, the dimethicone being low down on the ingredients list, and the lack of fragrance as well. So overall, I really like this. If you're not already subscribed, then please do so. There's a button in the bar below, and I will see you all soon. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye!